Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. All right, starting on last week rounds, let's start with Cryptosmart. So crypto is on the move. So Cryptosmart, a crypto exchange, Italian crypto exchange, raised 3.5 million and announced the acquisition of IBX AG, a Bitcoin mining company. So very strategic fundraise, and if the objective was, of course, probably the acquisition of this mining company, what is really curious is how exactly they are structuring a new sort of way of thinking about crypto. So essentially, as you invest through the exchange, you also become into like a part. I'm not sure exactly how to frame it verbally, but essentially you become partly owner of the mining company, which actually provide you some form of revenue. So Nick, give me some more clarity on this one. That's the first one. Yeah.
Well, the basic idea, as I understand it, is that you subscribe to you give money to the company, you take back a token that's basically a representation of kind of equity or representation of the stream, the cash streams generated by the mining company. That's it. So I mean, if you look at it in a simple approach, it's easy. It's a token representing a part of the cash flow coming from the mining activities of the company, but it's just represented on the blockchain, not by a share or some kind of other financial instruments. It's interesting the combination of the two. So the exchange acquiring the mining company and merging the two activities. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and this company is pretty well widespread. So they have data center in Iceland, Canada, and the US. So it's kind of widespread, and it's a nice combo. I mean, we've seen stacking back in the days, which kind of got some popularity. But this combo with crypto mining, that's new. And again, is this gonna be like the comeback of Bitcoin or maybe not? I mean, things are moving. Prices have been like shifting a bit in the past months. So yeah, definitely there is something there.
So it's a different bet on Bitcoin, right? So you can purchase Bitcoin. You can purchase an ETF on Bitcoin if you want to have an easy life. Or you might want to have direct exposure to the mining activity, so be part of the network. In this case, you have to invest to purchase mining equipment, or you can subscribe to a financial instrument that exposes you directly to the mining part of the Bitcoin ecosystem. So I mean, I have to say that from the point of view of financialization, I don't know whether that's a word, but I think you get the point, hopefully. Bitcoin is becoming pretty complex. So each part of it is being associated to a kind of a financial product. So you can
I agree.
You can be exposed the way you want to Bitcoin.
Yeah. And that's a kind of the paralysis of choice. There are so many ways to actually handle that, and people get paralyzed. But it's good. It's definitely the most flexible financial instrument.
It depends on how much you see it as a financial instrument. You want to be exposed to something that you believe is more or less related to the measured economy, or you have a more libertarian approach, and you want to be detached by the current financial system. So I mean, that's interesting for everybody, and that's probably part of the strength of Bitcoin at this time. So it's at the same time somewhat detached by the financial system, or detachable, and it is being integrated fully into the financial system. So ETFs are an example. So that's the finance 1.0, getting a full integration, full exposure into the Bitcoin ecosystem without all the hassle of being exposed to Bitcoin.
Beautiful. All right, moving on. Let's go to soft alcoholic drinks. Just to take a big turn to the right. Let's talk about BOEM, startup launching a low alcohol drink, raising 3 million from LMDV Capital, which is already an existing shareholder. So interesting deal. This one, basically, this company is probably one of the first hard seltzer that are aiming at conquering the Italian market, pushed by two great artists, two very famous like rappers in Italy. So they have like a strong marketing push, I would say, and that's one of the big angle, and probably a lot of the growth will definitely come from them. And secondly, the fact that Leonardo Del Vecchio, which is part of the family of Luxottica, also Luxottica Group essentially, is one of the backers. I believe he's the majority stakeholder together with one of the rapper. And so kind of an atypical deal, if you will, for a few things. Of course, the celebrity involvement, marketing-wise, definitely helpful. The fact of having like an international strong family office back in this deal also is interesting. And I mean, kind of trying to break grounds in Italy for a new product, which is not an energy drink, is not wine or alcoholic drink, it's something in the middle. And, is it going to fly for Gen Xer and, young millennials? I think that's kind of the target.
Yeah, I don't know whether to frame this investment as a startup investment, a technology startup investment, maybe not, but think of liquid death in the US, for example. So we have examples of soft drinks or almost soft drinks going balloony in other markets. So maybe this will be the same case with BOEM.
Totally. What is interesting also is that I was checking a little bit some information about LMDV Capital, and basically they've done a few sort of more traditional investment in the restoration space, so like restaurant chains and other form of restoration. But they're also backing this company, which is in sort of a stealth mode called Wishew. And essentially, they're launching in the US, trying to experiment a new way to do social media. So, social network, sorry. Yeah. So they're playing with this idea of building this new social network where essentially, you express a wish to your network of people, and they help you basically by funding you or by supporting you to actually make this wish a reality. So it's an interesting angle. It's a mix between sort of like a crowdsourced way to having like a digitized wish list of some form with, maybe travel companies, maybe crowdfunding. I don't know. It's really interesting. So I think down the road, we're going to see something more digital in our space, maybe from Del Vecchio. So I'm really curious on what's going to happen like next.
Interesting.
Awesome. All right, moving on. Let's talk about Primo and how Primo Space is actually moving pretty fast. So two deals, very interesting deals. The first one, Lithium Laser, deep tech startup specializing in femto-lasers, raising 2 million from Primo Space and 360. So maybe let's start from Lithium Laser. Maybe talking about the technology. I didn't know that a femto is a femtosecond is basically is 1/4 of a second. I didn't know that. And so pretty small. And the interesting deal is that this kind of laser, it claims to have like one of the strongest precision, probably has the strongest precision to manufacture. And very interesting deal, great application from aerospace to luxury product, medical devices, etc. So very interesting overall.
Yeah. So they are a very specialized startup. So they just create one of the components to the machinery that will be the final product. So exactly the laser component. And it's a cutting laser. So it's a high energy and used to actually cut or punch holes, femto-sized holes into things metal, for example. So high precision type of materials or outputs.
Awesome. So very interesting. I mean, low tolerance, precision manufacturing. That's definitely in the space sector. And I was checking actually. It's interesting how there is a very specific vertical for this. So I was reading about the projection of that specific sort of precision manufacturing tool devices and how people are projecting like a massive growth. Of course, due to probably to the space economy in general. So very, very interesting wave, which is a pretty recent wave, I would say.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about the second one, Ecosmic, space tech startup. And here also Primo Space invested 1 million. So maybe let's talk about what exactly they're doing. So essentially they're trying to manage basically different kind of awareness. They call it space awareness of some sort. And this is relevant for multiple applications, from space debris to actually movement of satellites. So Nick, if you can tell us something more, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, well, so I know only so much, of course, about companies from the space team, but Ecosmic is a very nice, starts from a very nice and interesting idea. So basically, preserve the stuff that you put in orbit, and the way you do it is by avoiding mostly collisions and try to keep everything safe, because the space around Earth is full of debris. So they developed algorithms to help with their object you put in orbit to avoid defending stuff and avoid collisions with other stuff.
Interesting.
And two interesting data points from the team in particular. So the founders are 3 female engineers. That's quite interesting. And the other very interesting, nice fact is that one of the 3 engineers was an intern at Primo Space. She worked with us. She was extremely good. She left and she went she went on to become an entrepreneur. And that's very nice. We're very happy to be backing her in this new endeavor.
Beautiful, fantastic. Awesome. So last week we also saw like a few companies that either expanded in Italy through the acquisition of an Italian company, or Italians that expanded abroad through the partnership and acquisition of foreign companies. So this dynamic is always present. We've seen like every year we see like these kind of deals coming up, and a lot of time, as we've seen, like a lot of fundraising happens in virtue of these kind of deals. So definitely it's a great way to grow, especially for, I would say, maybe early scale up companies. Maybe, I don't know, but we've seen this. So starting from XFarm Technologies merging with Greenfield and Space Sense to basically work on geospatial AI. So one is a French and the other is a Spanish company. So essentially they're working in order on fields that are very complementary to XFarm. One is monitoring essentially the soil quality through proprietary technology. The other is using data sets from satellites to actually monitor like agricultural fields. So kudos to the team of XFarm, because this definitely will broaden their offering both in terms of technology and of course reach on different markets. So that's very, very powerful for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's the goal basically. So you acquire products that are already on the market, and you get a foot on the ground in Spain and France in this case. From the article, they will try to expand it to other countries in Europe as well. So interesting to see that there is this wave of consolidation in the advanced agriculture market. So.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, going the other way, we have a French company, Edflex. Edflex raised in the past, I think, up to 13 million. They're working on specifically learning, but from the corporate standpoint. So very interesting trend. So basically learning is always more and more happening through the corporation, and like a specific way to upskill employees, and people are working in medtech also to actually push and boost this kind of wave. So very interesting company for sure. basically they acquired our Italian Of Course Me, and which is the company that is pretty much doing something very, very similar, with a more with a slightly more focus on actually a search engine for content, for learning content that can be integrated in employee upskilling. So different angles, very close, not exactly the same, but here's a great example where a French company is kind of peeking into the Italian market through acquisition. And this is like a first sort of interesting point. The second one is this thing of the employee learning sort of product. That's sort of pretty new too, I would say. I mean, upskilling was tough. It's always been, in general for big corporation, but with this new platform, it's definitely something extremely, extremely valuable.
Yeah, hopefully, yes.
Exactly. All right, so I think this brings us to the end. So one last thing, Nick. Congrats on the 200th issue of the week of an Italian startup. So guys, this was the number 200. So a great achievement. So congrats on that. And I'll see you all next week then.
Thank you, Jack. I'm feeling old now. Anyhow, thank you so much. Very happy. Looking forward to the next 200. And, ciao everybody. Ciao Jack.